Emotional abuse is often covertly done, which means the other person's behaviour is hidden from you, either through their mind games that they use against you, or just because we are naive to this kind of behaviour, because we don't treat other people in this way. We don't expect others to be treating us in this way. Emotional abuse is subtle, yet it is very detrimental to our physical and psychological well-being, as well as our emotional well-being. When it comes to emotional abuse, the abuser is going to use your emotions against you to get whatever it is that that abusive person needs from you. They are going to suppress who you are as a person so that you fail to thrive, you fail to grow, you fail to learn, you fail to develop, you fail to achieve, and they can keep you where they want you. Narcissistic parents can do this, narcissistic family, narcissistic friends, narcissistic teachers, narcissistic bosses. It's not just within an intimate relationship, it's not just a partner that can do this to another person. Children can be emotionally abused, and not just by their parents, by outside influences also. And the abuser is going to oppress you. They're going to unjustly hold you back from becoming who you are. One sign you are or you have been emotionally abused is you have no sense of your boundaries, and anything that feels wrong for you or feels like you don't want to do something, you go against that and do it anyway. More often than not, out of fear of rejection from the other person, or because you've had people do things for you that you haven't even asked for them to do for you, yet you've been made to feel grateful and obligated towards them for doing this thing. And what they've done for you later down their line, they're going to use as currency against you by saying to you, when they ask you for something and you say no to them, they're going to turn around to you and say, after all I've done for you, well, I did that for you, and you can't even do this for me. So you feel bad, you feel guilty, you feel ashamed that they've done something for you and you're not willing to do something for them, breaking down your beliefs, breaking down your boundaries, changing your no into a yes to serve them, to serve other people, for fear of reactions from those other people, as well as fear of feeling guilty for not doing something for another person. But there's no give and take. Narcissistic people, emotionally abusive people, only give so they can use it against you later down the line to make you feel guilty so they can take something from you. Isolation. Whether you have grown to a point where you are isolating yourself from the world because you no longer know who to trust, you no longer know who to believe in, you no longer know what people are saying, whether it's fact or fiction, you feel overwhelmed in a crowd of people, or whether you have been isolated because you daren't go out with your friends, you daren't go and see your family from either the environment that the home is going to be in before you go, the atmosphere that the narcissistic person is going to create before you even walk out of the door to see your friends or family, or do the hobbies you enjoy, or be it the arguments when you get home, the atmosphere when you get home, or just being belittled by them when you're wanting to go and do your hobbies, being told how dumb that hobby is, how stupid that hobby is, how that hobby is not going to get you anywhere in life. So you start to doubt yourself and doubt the things that you enjoy doing, and you stop doing those things. Or they might just be using triangulation and claiming that that friend talks about you behind your back, that family member doesn't really care about you, they just use you to place that self-doubt within you, so you begin to distance yourself from those who care about you and turn more towards the narcissistic person who's emotionally abusing you because you're left full of self-doubt. apologising often for things that you haven't even done. A lot of your sentences might start with "I'm sorry." When you try to voice an opinion, you might start with "I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cause an argument," because you're trying to protect yourself from previous experiences of being accused of starting an argument. When you try to discuss something with an emotional, manipulative person who's trying to suppress who you are as a person and stop you from finding out the truth or discovering who you are as a person, when you try to discuss something with them, they're going to turn it into a major argument. They're going to turn around to you and say, "I don't want to argue with you." And then when you try and push the subject, they're going to create that argument, so you feel like you're the one that's forever creating arguments. So you might say to people, "I don't mean to offend you," because you're panicking on the inside that you might offend them. You might kick off an argument with them. And then when you're around people that don't argue with you, don't get offended by you, it can seem very uncomfortable because it's not what you've been used to. Even though what you've been used to isn't normal, and people not creating arguments and not being offended is more on the normal side of things, because you're not used to it, it's a very scary place to be. When you find yourself apologising often for things that you haven't done, it's because you've been blamed, shamed, mocked, humiliated, judged into taking the blame for everything that goes wrong, not only within your own life, but also within those that are emotionally manipulating you. Narcissistic people don't take responsibility for their behaviour. They look to find a scapegoat to blame for their behaviour, and they use many different emotionally manipulative methods to get other people to blame themselves for the narcissist behaviour. So then it becomes natural to take responsibility for everything, even things you haven't done, and constantly apologise to others for fear of reactions from others, for fear of feeling bad, for fear of feeling guilty, for fear of feeling ashamed. You may have just lost all control of your emotions because your emotions have been manipulated to such an extent that you can no longer even understand them for yourself. You might have lost all control over your emotions. You might have become depressed. You might have become anxious. You might start ruminating, you might start overthinking things, you might start breaking down often, crying often, fear getting out of bed in the morning, because they are suppressing who you are as a person. So not only are you being emotionally controlled, you're also losing who you are, which is then losing your drive, your ability to get up and go, because you no longer know what you're getting up for. Yet when you've had a situation where you've lost control of your emotions, a narcissistic person isn't going to be somebody who cares about you, who wants to help you, who wants to see you through. Such as if a narcissist is lazing about in bed and doesn't want to get up, you might be there like, "Can I help? Is there anything I could do? Do you want me to just leave you alone?" Because you care about what they're going through. They're going to constantly chip away at you, accuse you of being lazy, accuse you of being useless, accuse you of overthinking, accuse you of overreacting, accuse you of being too sensitive, because they're not willing to understand you. They're willing to invalidate you, devalue you, put you down, make you feel worse, to the point that you lose sense of your emotions, you lose control of your emotions, and you are left feeling anxious, depressed. You can then question if you're a narcissistic person, because narcissistic people can laze about in bed. Narcissistic people can fall silent when they don't know what to say. Narcissistic people can cry when they're playing the victim. So it is tricky, but you have to pass responsibility back to the rightful owner for their behaviour, and only hold on to the responsibility of your own behaviour, which is another one. You can end up becoming very angry and rageful and lashing out and throwing things, which can also seem narcissistic. narcissistic people will push you past your limits to get a reaction from you so that they can use your reaction against you, so that you find yourself apologising often to them because they're toying with your emotional state of mind. They are toying with your emotions to control your emotions like a puppet on a string. They know exactly what buttons to push to get what emotional reaction they require from you to manipulate the situation for you to work in the narcissist's best interest. When you are in that much confusion, that much frustration, that much resentment, it's naturally going to build feelings of anger within you, which means you might then lash out at the person. You might just lash out at them in a moment to give you a moment relief to what is happening to you. They're going to come at you and come at you and come at you until you react and rage out at them. But then you'll notice they'll stand back all calm and say, wow, what's your problem? Somebody's having a bad day. Maybe someone needs to go and seek some help, because they don't care that they've driven you to that point. They just want to use that point against you so that they can further their advantage over you. Oh, imagine if your mother found out you behaved like this. Imagine if I told so-and-so you'd reacted like this. See what I have to put up with. So you're the one that feels guilty. And that shows that you're not the narcissistic one, because you're the one that feels guilty. You're the one that feels bad. You're the one that's apologising to them. You're the one that's taking responsibility for your behaviour. All the things narcissistic people don't do. They don't feel guilty. They might feel ashamed, which is why they pass the blame. They don't feel remorseful. They don't take responsibility. They look to manipulate your emotions, to manipulate the situation, to work in their best interest. And they lack the empathy to care for how this might affect you. When you feel like you can't talk to anybody about the issues you're going through within your life, either because you've been shamed or belittled before when discussing those issues, or when you choose to talk to an emotional manipulator about your issues, they twist it on to how they've always had it far worse than you. That's nothing compared to what they've been through, and you've got to forget your troubles and focus on helping them through theirs, to the point where you're led to believe that your problems aren't problems and you should just be grateful that they're there for you, even though you're the one that's always there for them. Yeah, because you might have lost control of your emotions, because you might be crying a lot, because you might be sleeping a lot more, they're going to then twist this and use it against you and claim that you're no longer there for them. But they're not willing to help you through this situation. They're willing to use this to their advantage, to go and find a new source of supply and then tell you that you weren't paying them enough attention. And they're going to drive the new source of supply into the same emotional despair as they've driven you. But they don't see it as them being the common denominator. They see it as everybody else causing the narcissist the problems, when the narcissist is causing those around them many psychological problems. Can't take a compliment off other people. Often end up fearing almost being in the limelight, being in the spotlight, being praised by somebody. It's very difficult to take compliments from others when you've been around an emotional manipulator who has got you to the point where you don't feel like you're enough, like you don't feel like you're deserving. Therefore, when someone pays you a compliment, you don't believe you deserve that compliment, because everything you've achieved has been diminished, or the narcissist has taken the credit for it. You only did that because of me. No, if I hadn't have helped you, you wouldn't have been able to do that. They always look for ways to bring you down in your success. They are incredibly envious people, so they don't want to see you do well. They want to oppress you to the point where you no longer know who you are, constantly shamed and blamed into not feeling enough. You can get to the point where you are afraid to voice your opinion due to being told just how wrong you are, due to being humiliated every time you voiced your opinion, due to being told just how stupid, just how daft, just how idiotic you are. So You then dare no longer speak your opinion, even to those who would be willing to see your perception, through fear of being humiliated. Afraid to hold conversations with people for fear of offending another person. As narcissistic people are so easily offended, and as they will offend you, yet then leave you to deal with the aftermath. You know how painful it is to be on the receiving end of being criticised and mocked and shamed and being told that you're not enough. So you do not want to put somebody else in that situation. Yet when you voice your opinion towards a narcissistic person and it causes a narcissistic injury, they're going to turn this against you and punish you. So you can fear offending people, not only because you care about people and you don't want to offend people, you don't want to make them feel bad, you also fear the reaction you might get from others. So you might go along with other people's ideas and beliefs, not for an easy life, but more for fear of repercussions if you don't. There are many different signs that you have or you are being emotionally abused. Any you've noticed, please do add those into the comments. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support of the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, then please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.